Hey, I'm answering a question from somebody who's reading my book. So the book is right here at Scooch, Edging into a Friendly Universe. And what she wants to know is, are we concerned here with knowing the actual truth, like the solid truth? Or are we just making up truth that makes us feel good? And wouldn't it be better sometimes to actually know what's real? So I love this question. This is so much fun. I can hardly stand it. She did give an example. She said, what if I feel like I'm not connecting with my peers? And there seems to be a lot of evidence of that. And wouldn't it behoove me to really take that in and get that so that I can fine tune or do what I call course correct? So you could actually do that without having any solid truth available. If something feels off to you, something's off. And if there's some way to course correct. And, or set the intention if you don't quite see how, because as soon as you have the intention, it's going to start revealing itself to you. So there's very little solid truth in life, I think. And you can play with that for yourself. But the truth is we're always interpreting. And there's a whole chapter in my book called Harness Your Power of Interpretation, because you can interpret in the most negative, self-defeating, painful, suffering-producing ways, or you can interpret in ways that make you feel more empowered and more connected and more able to get to where you want to get if you don't think you're there. And so in that case, forget any solid truth, especially if you think it weighs in on the former, and just go for the latter. Wherever your thinking empowers you, that's where you want to put your thought. I think you're making it up anyway, so you may as well make up what feels good. But so in terms of solid truth, if you really believe you're doing something wrong with your peers, you could just hear from the language that that's loaded. And there's a whole other chapter in Scooch that's about paying attention to your language and seeing what it shows you and learning from that. And it's not about avoiding saying anything. It's about hearing yourself and how you describe things. And then that alerts you to where you might want to head next. Or what aspect of your thinking might you want to check out a little more clearly. You might want to at least get closer to the truth if there's no solid truth, or whether there is or not. So a really cool trick that Byron Katie gives, and incidentally, she offers this in her book, Loving What Is, in the very place that she's talking to people about questioning a thought that you're really sure is true. So, for example, if you really believe I'm doing something wrong with my peers or in connecting to my peers, use this trick. All you do is you write down that statement and then you add the simple words, and that means that, and you can generate a whole list of what that means to you. So I took a stab at it. I wrote down what that could mean to someone, and so it might mean I'm inherently awkward. People don't like me. I'm just not fun to be around. No one gets me. I'm too introverted for most introverts. Okay, let's say that's your list. Well then, it would behoove you to question those things, because there's not going to be much solid truth in these really painful, really stressful, probably very old thoughts you have about yourself. And by the way, if you're walking around believing that, and you haven't exposed it through some nifty exercise, and that means that, you're just going to live out of that. And so, you're going to keep being awkward. You're going to keep reinforcing that. You're going to keep believing it. You're going to keep believing any funny look anyone gives you means that, yep, you're the awkward one, or they don't like you. And then that's going to be your life. I mean, we really do play out our thoughts, and we keep drawing more of whatever it is that we're focused on. But whether you believe that or not, wouldn't you like to consider what else is truer than I'm inherently awkward and people don't like me and no one gets me and so on. So I invite you to that, and sure, go for the truth that makes you feel good, because if you're feeling like you're okay, and sure, maybe you need to work on social stuff, but no problem, we're all working on something. It may as well be that. And if you believe, the universe actually wants to connect you to kindred spirits, and it's actually your birthright to feel connected, and that includes with other people. Well, if you're making that up, then you might stay open for the moments of connection, and you might really enjoy them. And you might do what I call being the seer, not the seen, and my phone is talking now. But not anymore. So being the seer, not the seen. Be the seer, not the seen is a chapter title, and it's a pretty cool trick, which is to stop being the object. Stop thinking in terms of how you're perceived by others, and instead you do the perceiving. You be the one having the adventure. You be the subject. And when you're in that position, you're going to be a little more curious, a little more open, and you're definitely going to find and exercise more agency. And so then it becomes not about what's wrong with me and I think I need to find the truth about that. It just becomes, what am I experiencing and what feels off to me and what am I drawn to and what feels to me like I'd like to move toward it or away from it, and so on. So would love to get you away from even thinking in terms of solid truth. I'm not sure that there's any such thing. And if we are making things up, let's make up what's more empowering and what gets us sort of solid on our feet and able to see what else is possible than the last thing I was experiencing based on whatever I was thinking. Thank you.